I'm Kaylee, and I'm going to recommend to you some classic adventure stories. In case you didn't know, Books for MKs is a charity that donates books to missionary kids. If you want to donate to the kids, you can do so at GoFundMe.com. There's a link down in the description, and there's a button at the end of this video where you can donate to the kids. Even just $5 or $10 is really, really helpful to get books into the hands of these children who really need the books. So y'all know I am all about the classics. I love reading classics. And one of the best places to start reading classics is with adventure novels. For one thing, adventure novels tend to be a little more fast-paced, so you feel like you can just get somewhere with the plot. Some classics tend to be really slow and there's just not much going on and you can sort of get bogged down in it all. So if you're not familiar with classics, you don't read a lot of classics, go for an adventure because they will just move right along. There's not a lot of extra stuff that, just bogs down the story. And because of all that action that's going on, there's so much suspense and you will just be on the edge of your seat. So this started out where it was supposed to be a list of like my 5 favorite classic adventure, and then it turned into my 10 favorite classic adventure, and somehow I think I ended up with 13 or 14. I can't help it. There's just too many and they're all so good. So just bear with me. We are gonna get through this list and you are gonna love it. These are not really in any particular order. They're just kind of how I thought of them and I put them on a list and that's the order they're in, which is no order. So the first one on my list is Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I think the full title is actually Tarzan of the Apes. This is the first book in the Tarzan series and when I first read it I thought, oh yeah, Tarzan, everybody knows the story and it's just gonna be whatever, But actually I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought the writing style was really forceful and, full of action. I really enjoyed reading this one. The next one on my list is Prisoner of Zenda by Anthony Hope. This is about a gentleman who is practically a doppelganger for the king of some, adorable European country. And so they hire him to, be the body double of the king. And of course, there's all kinds of intrigue and kidnapping and, forbidden love. It is wonderful. This one sort of reminds me of a Three Musketeers kind of vibe where it's all about honor and chivalry. It is absolutely wonderful from start to finish. The next one is She by H. Rider Haggard. This is about a group of Europeans who go into the deepest, darkest jungles of wherever, and they find this amazing, Amazonian queen. She's not actually from the Amazon, but, she's like this larger-than-life queen of this tribe, and her name is just She, because she's the only one. And so, of course, there's all sorts of mysticism and tons of good adventure. The next one is Tom Sawyer Abroad by Mark Twain. Lots of people know Tom Sawyer, lots of people know Huck Finn, but they might not know that Tom and Huck and Jim all take off on a balloon ride over to the Sahara and just kind of all over. So Tom and his friends go adventuring abroad, and it is every sort of hilarious circumstance that you can imagine, and it's absolutely just so funny. Mark Twain, of course, is a master of comedy, and this one is just comedic adventure at its best. The next one is The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle. This one has sort of been remade into movies and the idea has been completely taken apart and other things. But this, I promise you, is different from what you would think that it was. So these gentlemen form a group and they go off exploring, and there's like the professor and there's the young adventurer and there's the big hunter guy. Of course, they discover a hidden world and they have all kinds of insane adventures. I think someone should be keeping a tally of how many times I say the word adventure in this video, because it'll probably be like 50 or 60 times. Adventure, adventure, adventure. The next one is Raffles by E.W. Hornung. I completely love the Raffles books. Raffles is sort of a counterpoint to Sherlock Holmes. Instead of being cold and calculating like Sherlock Holmes, he is charming and fun-loving. And instead of catching criminals like Sherlock Holmes, Raffles is the criminal. But you want him to win. He's a gentleman thief, and you want him to get away with it because he just does it with so much pizzazz. Every time that Raffles has some plan to steal the jewels or something, I am always on the edge of my seat like, oh, be careful, don't let them catch you. The next one is a childhood favorite classic of mine, The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. There's actually The Jungle Book 1 and The Jungle Book 2, but sometimes I think they're published together as just The Jungle Book, so you can kind of look at whatever edition you end up reading and make sure that it's really the whole thing. So some people think that The Jungle Book is just the story of Mowgli, but there are a lot of other short stories included in the Jungle Book volumes, and Mowgli's story sort of takes different turns from what you might know from cartoons or movies. So even if you think you know Mowgli's story, definitely give this one a try because there are totally other characters and complete other scenarios, different short stories in there for just a really amazing look at just the beautiful India and this beautiful culture and, you know, this amazing imaginary world of the jungle. And of course, it's all in Rudyard Kipling's beautiful writing style. Next is the Scarlet Pimpernel series by Baroness Emuska Orczy. I always have to say her name very carefully. Emuska Orczy. The Scarlet Pimpernel is a British spy in the time of the French Revolution, and he goes into France and brings out refugees. And of course, he saves a bunch of people from the guillotine, and he's always running from, you know, the French authorities. If you really love intrigue and disguises and like secrets and spies and things, oh my goodness, you will love the Scarlet Pimpernel because every single book in this series surprises me, and I never quite know what that Scarlet Pimpernel is up to because it seems like everything is going wrong and all of a sudden he saves the day, and it just surprises me every time. Now, I would be remiss if I did not include at least one Jules Verne book on this list, and my favorite of Jules Verne is Around the World in 80 Days. This story idea is pretty familiar to everybody, I think. There's a gentleman who takes a bet that he can travel around the world in 80 days. He does it by balloon and train and boat and I mean, I don't even know. I think one time they're like in some kind of Eskimo sled or something. I can't even keep track. I know they go on an elephant. And of course, there is this mistaken detective who thinks that, you know, Phileas Fogg is actually a criminal. So he's, you know, traveling with them, trying to track them down. And there's just all kinds of insane adventure in this one. Even if you think you know the story, like you've watched the movies or something, really give this one a read. It's a quick, easy read, and it's so much fun. The next series that I'm going to talk about are actually right behind me right here, the Hornblower series by C.S. Forester. I really love adventure novels on the high seas, and this whole series is incredible. Some people like to read it in the chronological order where it starts out with Hornblower as a midshipman, so he's at the lowest totem pole, basically. And then he becomes a lieutenant, and later on he becomes a captain, and throughout the series we see him finally become an admiral and a lord, and he just has adventure after adventure. And of course they're fighting against the French or they're fighting against the Spanish, and you know, there's all kinds of amazing battles and things going on. He's taken prisoner and he's shipwrecked and just all kinds of action in every single book. The next one is actually a non-fiction classic, although it reads like fiction because it's just so incredible, and it's 2 Years Before the Mast by R.H. Dana. And again, this is a high seas adventure, but it's told in more of almost like a journal style, sort of. And it's the author, Dana, actually telling about his own experiences working on a ship. The term before the mast means that he was just a common sailor, he wasn't an officer. And the way that he tells the stories of all his adventures and the different things that he saw and did is so incredible. It reads like it's fiction because it's just so full of action and intrigue and, you know, just so many weird, interesting things like tornadoes or hurricanes or just crazy stuff that happens. You know, you always hear these crazy stories about like, the whole house was demolished in this tornado, but the front door was still there. You know, like, what was going on with the front door? You know, what was that? Well, in 2 Years Before the Mass, you get those sort of weird stories that are just too weird to not be real. One of my very favorite adventure classics that I have read so many times over and over and over is The Swiss Family Robinson. After Robinson Crusoe was published way back in the day, that'd be another good one for this list. Why didn't I put Robinson Crusoe on this list? Consider it, it's on the list. It's on the list. Anyway, after Robinson Crusoe was first published, that it kind of became a fad, and there were a bunch of different books that were published about castaways and people that had been shipwrecked. And that's why the title of this one is Swiss Family Robinson. The term Robinson just came to mean shipwrecked or castaway, you know. So I always thought that was a neat little tidbit of history. It almost kind of reminds me of how like the Hunger Games came out and all of a sudden everything was dystopia, everything, you know, or Twilight came out and all of a sudden every book was about vampires. Well, turns out that is not a recent phenomena. They used to do that back in the day too. Swiss Family Robinson is about a family who are from Switzerland and they are shipwrecked, and it's all about these interesting little details of their lives, of how they make shelter and how they find food and how they end up taming animals. And following on with our theme of high sea adventures, because you know I love the high sea adventures, I have been steadily reading through the Heart of Oak series by Frederick Marryat. Frederick Marryat was a captain in the British Navy back in the day, and of course he had a lot of information to gather all of his fictional stories from. So these ones are fiction, but you know, their inspiration comes from the real life experiences of this Navy captain. So one of the ones that I've read in the Heart of Oak series is the Mr. Midshipman Easy. I've read Peter Simple, and all of these are just such fantastic stories. I mean, and it's kind of the same types of things. There's pirates and shipwrecks and hurricanes and battles with the French and battles with the Spaniards, but I just can't get enough of it. Every story has those type of similar, you know, themes and similar circumstances, but every book is so different. The characters are so different. And, you know, the stories really come together in their own unique way, despite, like, they all have pirates, you know. Okay, those are all the books that I think are amazing classic adventures, and please, please leave me a comment if you've read any of these, or if you're going to read some of them, leave me a comment and let me know. Or leave me a comment and tell me what are your favorite classic adventures. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.